Hey there, Heather. Hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome me to a very special video. It's not anything to do with Degrassi. It's not anything to do with my PC gaming. It's not anything to do with sports catastrophe. It's not anything to do with cats and all that. I wonder where my cat is, but anyway. So today is September the 6th, 2024. But the big thing is it's 20 years to the day that I moved from a small village, small town of Plattsville, Ontario, to the big lights, well, the big lights, quote unquote, of Kitchener, Ontario, where I have been ever since. So practically, I gave you the 20 years of the good, the bad, and the ugly side of living in Kitchener. So, a little bit of background. I was 19 when I moved to Kitchener, but there was a good reason why I moved to Kitchener. I moved to Kitchener because I got accepted into the computer programming course at Conestoga College, the community college in Kitchener. So I got in. Of course, the question on my mind is how was I going to go to college? Because obviously, my family didn't really have much of the financial resources and all that. And it was people probably didn't think I was going to go to college in the first place. But the fact of the matter is, in April, the seeds were sown as my big bro, after giving me NHL 2002 as a birthday present for my 19th for my 19th birthday. Or was it NHL 2003? I think it was 2002, wasn't it? Yeah, with Lemieux on the cover for my 19th birthday. Of course, PS2 games were very expensive back then. So anyway, I had a PS2 and I got NHL 2002 and I was happy as can be. Like having an NHL game for my PlayStation 2. I didn't really have too many games for the PlayStation 2. I had Hot Shots Golf 3, which I played the depth out of. I think, did I have basketball? I think I had like NBA Jam or something like that. I can't remember my games. Oh, yeah, I had NFL Game Day, 2004, and Triple Play 2002 baseball. But yeah, the fact is, I had a PlayStation 2 and I was happy as can be. All that. So Everett and my dad were talking about things and all that, and Everett said that he was going to move to Kitchener, and said that if I ever got into college, that I would be living with them. Of course, the thought of college never crossed me because my parents were not good financially, like they had financial problems like most families do, and it never occurred to me because, I was a decent student, but there wasn't really a career path. I tried computer programming and all that, but didn't do too well in like the programming sector. I could do like spreadsheets and like databases and all that stuff. That wasn't a problem. It's just the programming, like, and people today are going to be like saying, oh, computer programming is so easy, that. Try having to do it in JavaScript, NetBeans, and C++ and all that. People have it so spoiled nowadays in 2024 compared to 2004. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself. I think it was apparent that my parents wanted me to leave the house. But of course, I wasn't financially set. I didn't really have a job. So, yeah, they put the wheel in motion. I got accepted to Conestoga, which was actually pretty impressive considering my grades and all that. But like, yeah, I got accepted, I think, because of my being local and all that. So I was happy and all that. And then, of course, I had to take a math test at one of the Conestoga feeder campuses. I think the one in Waterloo, to pass and get into the program in a sense because it was a prerequisite. So I think I did pretty well and all that, and I got into everything. So yeah, Edward moved in. Well, Edward moved in September 2nd, 2024, to the house that I'm living in now. It's a semi, if you will, and it cost. What did Edward say? It cost 125K or something back in 2004. Imagine what it's worth now. But he moved in with all of his stuff on September 2nd, and then 4 days later, on Labor Day 2004, I moved in and all that. My mom and dad packed up my stuff from my my little farmhouse in Plattsville, and now I was living in the big city of Kitchener. Of course, coming from Plattsville to Kitchener, things are different and all that. I questioned myself because it's like, what am I going to do in Kitchener? It's going to be hard to learn all these things because, I'm so used to small town feel and all that. And of course, getting to places was difficult because, I don't drive. And I still don't drive to this day. So, all that. But yeah, on Labor Day, I came in. Surprisingly, my brother was supposed to be there to get my stuff and all that and help me, set up the bed, set up all my possessions and all that. But he wasn't there. And I was like, what the heck? All that. He wasn't there for the afternoon. And then I'm like, crazy. And then I decided, strangely enough, because in a little bit of hypocritical stature to, my shyness and all that, I decided I'll go talk to the neighbors and all that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go talk to the neighbors and all that while my brother is MIA. So, they invited me and gave me some sports books and all that. And I felt pretty impressed and all that. So yeah, I like my neighbors very much. I've had those same neighbors, the Bradshaws, Bill and Menchin, for 2 decades. So it's pretty amazing what happens and all that. They still live in the other part of the semi. I live on the left side, they live on the right side. And next door neighbors on the other side of the area have moved several times. So, I think it's a multicultural, multi-family setup there. Setup there. Anywho, so yeah, of course, I was getting jitters for my first day of college and all that. So yeah, the next day I went to college and all that, got my first class and then did computer programming and did okay. Unfortunately, though, I suffered through the glut of one of my biggest faux pas, still to this day, is my lack of asking for help. And a lot of people think, oh, well, he thinks he knows it all. No, that's false. The reason why I sometimes don't ask for help is because I'm expected to do well. And I told myself, you got to college. You need it. You know this stuff. You're supposed to know this stuff. You got to college, and a lot of your friends probably didn't go to college and all that. So, you're going to college. You got to prove that you belong in college. So I struggled mightily. I think I failed one massive feeder class my first semester and all that. Was it one or two? I can't remember my how many I failed. I think one. Yeah, I passed my two objectives and all that. But yeah, it was rough and all that. I managed to make it through a lot of things and all that, like programming and all that stuff. What else do I remember from my first semester of college? Well, my first semester of college, I remember that I was stricken with appendicitis in October. Like it was Thanksgiving weekend, Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. I must make that movement. So it was Canadian Thanksgiving weekend on the Saturday, and I just couldn't sleep. I was having pains and all that. No, it was the Friday, excuse me. Because I just finished watching the Red Sox beat the Angels to move on to the ALCS. And, I couldn't sleep and all that. I was really in pain and all that. And my brother, who was working as a taxi driver, had to come to my house at like 4 in the morning, the house at 4 in the morning, and to pick me up and drop me off at Grand River Hospital. And they said that I had appendicitis and that my appendix was about to burst. So, of course, I had to spend a few days in the hospital and all that. So that wasn't fun. And then, on Monday, like on Canadian Thanksgiving Day, I got discharged from Kitchener Hospital, from Grand River Hospital, and then I had to stay with uh my parents. I had to go back to my parents' place for a week to recover and all that from appendicitis. So practically, then after a week, I went back to Kitchener and all that, and finished up my first semester, which wasn't the best first semester around. And then my second semester, I had a smaller course load because the one class I failed led to two other classes. So I had to take that class on a Saturday, like Saturday mornings. I had to go do that one class I failed and get back, try to get back to even footing, which I did. And then I failed another class and then had to go through. No, I failed two classes. Was it two classes or what? No, sorry, it was one class. I failed database. And then I had to take that again. And the one course that I actually would have had to place in if it hadn't been for that first semester failure. So I had to take two classes in summer school, passed both, and then I was back to square one with everybody. Unfortunately, though, I didn't do so well in a few other courses and all that. So there was a bad pattern and all that. Fortunately, though, my last 2 years were great and all that, that I managed to beat it. Now, I was actually supposed to graduate in 3 years, but it took four, which isn't that bad. Like most people say, they take extra years, but at least it wasn't like one guy I heard was in his third year of the program, but this was his 6th year of trying. So, like, he wasn't dumb, he was just lazy. So, yeah, so I took longer than normal to get to the point to get my computer programming diploma. To this day, I have no idea where it is. Like, I don't know where I put it and all that. But I basically just don't look at it because I'm not a computer programmer anymore. So yeah, being in Kitchener was a chore because I was so used to small town life and all that. I wasn't used to my brother's activities and all that. He had a good friend group, and they included me in the friendship group. I got to know lots of people. The first major people I got to know through my brother was the Kappas. You know, Mike, Amy, Jordan, and then came little Brady. So Mike and Amy were good friends of Edward's who hung out with him ever so often. And when I moved to Kitchener, that Mike and Amy lived on Activa, which is not too far. If you take a walk down the back of Pinedale Park to Activa and then down to Great Fox, that's where they lived for a while. And they had a 3 year old. Like Jordan was 3 years old at the time. I got to meet him and all that. I babysat a, a few days for him. I used to also babysit for the little Shih Tzu Pebbles, who really adored me and all that. And it was fun knowing the Kappas and all that because they played poker with buddies like Dwayne, Brian. There were a few other people who have dropped off and all that, but yeah, I got to know those people too. I got to know a lot of people through Edward's friend group and all that, and they accepted me and all that. I remember he had buddies in Hamilton, and one man, Nia would say "Ring Man" to me because I was smart and stuff, but socially inept and very awkward and all that. So it was actually cool. I was a little shy around Ed's friends because I didn't know how to act in front of them. I didn't know much of the stuff, and they were drinking and all that, and I wasn't used to that culture, being back in Plattsville and all that shit. But then I got to know these guys and I love them dearly. Like, the Kappas have been very kind to me and all that. Mike and Amy should be praised for them, like, understanding me and all that, especially Amy. Because, like, Amy's been so patient with me and all that. I know I act weird in front of her and all that, but she's pretty good to me and all that. Yeah. So Mike used to be a bus driver for Grand River Transit, and now he's some safety supervisor. I can't remember it for Grand River Transit. Something to do with teaching other bus drivers, like student bus drivers, to, be the bus drivers for Grand River Transit and all that shit. Amy, I know, has gone to school and is now a mortgage consultant and all that, a mortgage lender. And it's weird. Like I told her, I said, I don't know about this because of how the infrastructure has been, like, the economy and all that. Like, I know I could have kept my mouth shut, but I'd be like, I'm just worried about her. And she's like, I understand and all that. She understands me a lot, which is impressive. We had a few little talks about stuff and Amy and all that. And Jordan is now 23. He's multitasking and all that. I believe he's a supervisor at Mark's Work Warehouse in Cambridge. He's president of the St. George baseball organization because they moved to St. George. Good hockey pucks. Glen Morris, small town by St. George, another small town in the Cambridge area, like years ago. So yeah, they lived by St. George, and Jordan's apparently the head honcho over there, and he's done other things, and he's trying to get into the sports field because he got a degree in sports management. I wish I had one. Like this guy, if he goes far, dude, he's living my career. What my goals and dreams would be. And Brady's now 18. I don't know what he's doing. I know he graduated high school. Brady has a few issues. Hopefully I can get away with this, but he's got ADHD. And it's sad because, people with that condition have different ways. And, people ignore them. But no, like, it's hard to live with this condition. Like, you think it's hard knowing someone with ADHD. You have to feel like, what about the people in their shoes? Be someone in their shoes, like, who have to deal with this condition and all that they're trying to understand themselves. That's all I'm saying. But the fact of the matter is that yeah, Edward's friend group was pretty cool to me and all that, and I got to know these people, and I still connect with them through poker and fantasy football and all that. Hell, in poker, I actually took third place, and I was slated to be like bottom of the barrel, but I somehow pulled off a third place finish, and I'll take anything I can get. I played my style of poker. I played my quiet waiting game and all that stuff, and play the numbers, play the advantages, play the player, play the game. So yeah, that was impressive and all that. I got to meet some interesting people. 2005 was a noticeable year, like 1 year after I moved to Kitchener, because in Conestoga there was a program for like people with disabilities and all of that. So I joined up with that, and then they would give me some tests, and Dr. Neska gave me some testing and all that, and said that I was autistic, that I was high functioning autistic at that, because I was pretty smart in a lot of fields, but dumb in other areas, and social anxiety and social awkwardness, and that basically fit me like a T. Like I was always a social awkward person and all that. I mean, my like on both the Diamond and the Snyder side of the families, they would know that too. Like my acting out and all that stuff. There's stuff I regret in my life that I wish I had not done in my earlier years. But the fact of the matter is that, I am what I am, and I take accountability for my actions. Maybe it does explain why I'm just a retail worker and all that, and not like a sports guy like I always intended to be. But it doesn't matter. It is what it is. But yeah, they call it Asperger's syndrome. Now they call it autism. But Asperger's is a form of autism. It's basically the high functioning autism that you're smart, but your social skills are low. And then of course there's other ones like you have high social skills but low intelligence. I don't condone those people. Those people suffer through a lot, and how they handle things and all that with good grace and all that. I applaud them. I really do applaud them and all that. And I don't insult those type of people, because as someone who has been insulted a lot because of his autism and all that and called the R word, I cannot be a hypocrite. Never. So yeah, it was fun and all that. Uh so yeah, Edward took me to these things, and took me up to the farm and talked to my parents and all that. They knew there was something wrong with me. They always knew, but it was never diagnosed. And finally, at age 20, I was diagnosed with autism, with Asperger's syndrome. I know that I act sometimes stereotypically autistic and all that at times and all that, but the fact of the matter is that you know, I can handle myself. Like socially, not so much. But, in the age that, you don't have to be like with a person to have social connections with, like, social chats, like video chats, you can do that nowadays. And that was before COVID ruined everything. So the one key thing here is, I know I'm spinning my wheels and all that, and I'm known for that, is that, I graduated from Conestoga College. And then in 2006, I started getting a job and all that. My brother wanted me in the workforce. So Conestoga had a great program with, the disability things. And through them, I got to uh, go through Job Track, a job agency for people with disabilities, and also ODSP, for paying money for, because, you can work and all that, but you get a supplement monthly income. Edward pushed me to do that. And thankfully, though, everything worked out. Like, I knew I had to figure something out and all that. And Edward did with good intentions. And, that was good. I like that. So I got a monthly income and all that. And then I got my first real job in 2006 working for Sellers. I was supposed to be for a couple of tryouts, but fortunately I made it through. And so November 4th, 2006, the day I was basically on a tryout, was when they allowed me to come through. So that's the day I say I would be working at, I worked at Sellers my first day. And of course, that was famous because also on November 4th, 2006 was my mom's 55th birthday. And also on November 4th, 2006, my brother got to go with Kappa and a group of friends to Buffalo to watch the Leafs and Sabres. I would have been there, but because I had to do my work stuff at Sellers, I couldn't go. So obviously that was disappointing. And the Leafs won that game too. Man, that would have been great. It would have been my first time in America. Coming to America. Sorry, but it's subtle. But yeah, I worked there for a few months, and then something got them to keep me around past January. And so I worked at Sellers for 6+ years until January 2013, the day after my brother's birthday. January 14th, 2013, when Sellers closed down forever. And it was bittersweet. It was melancholy and all that. I wasn't even supposed to work the final 2 days at Sellers. I was supposed to be done on a Saturday. No, no, on a Friday. And then my boss comes up and said, "Do you want to come in for the last 2 days, Sunday and Monday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So yeah, so I did that. So I spent the final day, and I had this famous speech that stupidly I have deleted, and I don't think it's on YouTube. But yeah, it was me crying near the end and all that. And then my boss, Tracy Hiltz, told me that I was one of her favorites. And I'm like, really? So yeah, I spent 6+ years at Sellers. And then, Sellers ended and I was unemployed. But thankfully, though, Target was coming to Kitchener Waterloo. And the Sellers I worked at was going to turn into a Target because it couldn't be a Walmart because there was a Walmart at Sunrise Center too close. So I got a Target interview past that. And then in May 2013, I started with Target, but it lasted only a year. Was it a year and a half? Just over a year and a half. And then January 2015, they closed down because they wanted to get out of the Canadian market, putting a lot of people out of work, like yours truly. I think it's March. No, it was March. I might think January. No, January was when January January 2015 was when they were going to leave Canada, and then 2 months later, our store ceased to be. I basically kicked over a chair before I started my shift, at, like in the break room, and said, "That's how I feel." No one else was there to see it. But yeah, I lost my job at Target. And the worst part about it is the Target store, on Strasbourg. Nobody has moved into it. Not even a pop-up store. And it's been like ghostly uninhabited it for 9 years. 9 years. 9 years. Yeah, so then basically for 4 years I was unemployed. I was being with my best friend and all that. I'll get to I'll get to my best friend and talking about Bill Lang shortly. But anyway, yeah. So I was unemployed for 4 years. It was mostly my fault because I was so stuck in the mud. Like I wanted to go work in a store very close to walking distance so I didn't have to use the bus. But, my stupidity and all that, and not going to Sheridan Nurseries at all. Speak of the devil. Hang on. So after that uninterrupted break of 5 minutes, well, of course, you won't know about it because I didn't record it. But anywho, so yeah, talk about Bill and all that. I'll get to the point a little later on. But anyhow, yeah, I hate myself. So yeah, through the power of me, like being a little bit stuck in the mud, and my phone betraying me and all that, but I betrayed my phone. I didn't get a position until 2019 when I was offered a chance to be a summer intern at Sheridan Nurseries, a garden center. And I'm like, me at a garden center? Like, I was questioning myself. But then they said, well, they give me 2 5-hour shifts a week. Like, so it'd be 10 hours a week paid. And I said, well, 10's better than 0. I might as well take the job. So I decided to do so. And it's strange how that actually blossomed, pun intended, to Shoppers Drug Mart, which I started, like, I got canned the last Thursday in no one Thursday in August. I think it was the 22nd, right? Yeah, the 22nd of August I got canned from Sheridan. And then 4 days later, on the 26th, I started at Shoppers Drug Mart because it was a Thursday I got canned from Sheridan. And then following Monday, I started at Shoppers Drug Mart. So my unemployment was only 3 days. I obviously couldn't get unemployment insurance because it's only 3 days. Like, frig. So yeah, I went to Shoppers Drug Mart, was working every other day literally for 3.5 hours in the morning. And then practically for 4.5 months before they decided to terminate my position and all that. And I got so miffed about things. And then, I decided, like, I went back to like the job agency that got me the Sheridan and the Shoppers Drug Mart job by proxy. And they said something about this Canadian Tire in Waterloo. And I'm like, it's in Waterloo. And I live near a Canadian Tire, the Sunrise Canadian Tire in Kitchener. Like, I live right near there. But they rejected me like 3 times. But then I'm like, knowing my dumb luck, I'm going to screw this up. Like, if I pass on this, I'm gonna get karma bit. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna repeat old patterns. So I'm taking the job interview. And it was at Agilic. And Chris Morrison was the guy and interviewed me, and I did some stuff. And then he says, okay, then you're willing to work? Yeah. You're hired. What? Like, the what? It was like I was so prepared. I had like 12 or 13 questions of a thing and then sending them all over again. But no, I got it. So it took a while before I got to Canadian Tire. The one in Waterloo at the Boardwalk, which is a nice place to be at. Because the Boardwalk's like got different shopping plazas, block by block by block by block, and all that shit. But anyway, so the only problem with me is, I'm sorry about the background noise, but I needed to do this right away, and my aunt's just cleaning dishes and all that. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about her coming to live with me. But anyway, that'll be next in line. So the fact of the matter is that, so yeah, the Canadian Tire, it took a while between the time I got the interview to working there because, like, I just wasn't sure when they wanted me to start. And the worst part was there was actually a transit strike that hampered me getting there to Waterloo and all that. So, of course, I would have had to take the bus there. So I trained myself to take the bus down. I just have to go past Pinedale Park to the end, take the 201 I Express down to Herb. Well, I went to Keatsway and then walked from Keatsway up and then turned onto Herbsville and walked down. But it's actually faster getting off at Herb. Street, the 201, walking down Herb Street and to work. It takes 30 minutes overall, so that works out. So regardless of that, so yeah, all that, and of course, working at Canadian Tire, great business. 4 years working there. Well, 4.5 actually now. Yeah, because I've hit the 4.5 year mark. If once I make it to March 3rd, 2025, that will make 5 years, and get my 5 year pin, and it'll be a celebration and all that. Well, of course, I get my job, all that. But unfortunately, well, I worked Tuesday the 3rd, but unfortunately, the Saturday before that, on February 29th, no less, was the day I got the most horrifying news I've ever gotten in my life. Was that my dad took a nap and never woke up. Practically, it's because he died of pneumonia, which caused heart failure, and game, set, match, he's gone. Like, he was fine for a little bit, and then he took a nap and then couldn't recover. And it was just daunting and all that, you know. And, I took it especially hard because, my dad loved being on the farm. He loved Canadian Tire too, and he was going to bug me for stuff from Canadian Tire. And I'm like, I have to comply. But he never got to see me or heard about my work experiences at Canadian Tire because, he was gone the Saturday and then I worked the Tuesday. The worst thing I think I did was not grieve properly because on the Tuesday I went to work. I should have just said I need another week. But then I'm like, I gotta get to work, get back in the employment line, get back to work. And Dad would not want me to rest up for him. Dad would want me to go on with my life as is. But like, it stings. It still stings 4.5 years to this day. Like, as selfish as this seems to be, but my dad dying days before I started my Canadian Tire job just haunts me. It still does to this day. I wanted him to see me, know me in Canadian Tire and all that. Like, I still miss him, and I just wish he was around when I was Canadian Tire and all that. Because I know how proud he would have been of me. Sorry. Ugh. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard talking about it because of the circumstances. Like, just days before I would start Canadian Tire, I lose my dad. It's gotta be the worst freaking feeling in the world to have that there. Yeah, so yeah, I work at Canadian Tire. The funny thing is, I started as a fill crew member, just getting carts of stuff and then putting the stuff on the shelves and then stocking the shelves and all that. But then one of the um, receiving boys just had to have a hissy fit and punch a wall of one of the trailers and break his hand. So the receiving manager, Stephen Jacobson, looked at me because, I would be doing cardboard and doing some stuff and help on truck whenever possible. Like, but I was told I had to do other stuff. Said, why don't we have this guy? And pointing at me. And I'm like, and I told my family they wanted someone young, knowledgeable, with good speed, and a good work ethic. They couldn't find that person, so they went with me. Me being 35 years old and all that. And never working in receiving and all that. I was always I was a floor staff member for Sellers and uh, Target. I was never in the back. And technically, I should have been a back worker, like a receiving worker, because it would be easy on me because my social anxiety and all that. I don't have to deal with customers as much. Like, poor excuse, if you will, but no, it worked out. So I got the position. So I went to receiving and all that. And I've been in receiving ever since October 2020, for better or for worse. I've seen lots of people come into receiving to help me out, and a lot of people go and all that. So practically, I'm the longest serving guy in receiving. Actually, I think it's a tie, close to a tie with Aaron Demarin. And no, that's not, that is his name, Aaron Demarin. So Aaron is my warehouse manager. Embarrassingly, he's 13 years younger than I am. So he's 26, I'm 39. And it's a little embarrassing, truth be told. But, it's kind of funny and all that, you know, him and all that. The worst part about it, I know it's like, am I complaining about him? No, it's in good nature. Like, usually, like, my job is not just receiving. Like, in the mornings, I have to go out to change the garbages, clean up the parking lot, and, make sure the front of the store looks clean and healthy and all that. And then go back to receiving and help out with truck whenever possible. And it's embarrassing, after washing my hands, like preparing myself, and then taking my Gatorade and chocolate bar down to receiving. I always hear those famous, infamous words, Jeffrey! No, Jeffrey! No, I can't do it his voice. Jeffrey! Jeffrey! It's embarrassing and all that. I mean, for one thing, I don't like being called Jeffrey unless you're a family member. Because, family, you got to be polite. And with Jeffrey and all that. And of course, Jeffrey is spelled the non traditional way, E or Y instead of R E Y. And second of all, is practically, dude's 13 years younger than me. Respect your elders. But he respects me and all that. And I respect him. I really do respect him and all that. As embarrassing as it is, he's 13 years younger than I am. And I'm the oldest in the warehouse. Well, the joke was that, well, we had people older than me in the warehouse, but they would only be there for like 2, 3 freaking weeks or something like that. And then I ended up going back to being the oldest. Like our warehouse, I guess the second in command, Alan, he's 38. He's only a year younger than me, but he's knowledgeable too. He's a good guy. I like him. And I like Zach, the new guy that we picked up to be in receiving and all that, because we lose people due to school and just plain I don't want to work here anymore. The one coworker in receiving I wish I had back was Habimana, this guy from ah not Eritrea. Oh, what is that African country he's from? He's from Africa. Oh, not Zimbabwe. It's gonna strike me later on. Like he came over from Africa. Oh, not Somalia. Equatorial Guinea? No, Equator. No, I can't remember what country he comes from in Africa. But he was a good guy and all that. But went to Toyota because he was having a second child on the way. To do it for his two children and all that. And he was a great guy to work with. So yeah. But yeah, like, that's kind of fun and all that. But, and like I do the trucks and all that, help with the trucks and all that, like unloading the trucks and lifting this, carrying the stuff, which is not always easy because I don't have the best muscle tone. But, I also do carts and carryouts, the call for carryout, and I'm usually the guy who does the carryouts. Have to go out a couple times a day to retrieve carts and put them back inside the store. And a lot of the year is soil compounds because we have a soil compound in our parking lot, not fully in our parking lot, but on the other side of the store. It's embarrassing in a sense because I have to run from receiving to the soil compound. I have to go from receiving one corner of the air property to the other corner. Like I have to go southeast, if you will. And I'm not fast of foot. I'm not fleet of foot. Like I can't run that well and all that. A lot of people said you don't have to run. I do because I try to get in front of the customer and make sure everything's fine. So sue me. So yeah, I've been part of the soil compound for 3 years because I guess because of my past experience with Sheridan, it makes me be soil guy. But it's actually good. Train quite tranquil, if you ask me, and all that. There's a lot of things I could say about Canadian Tire, but I have a feeling that there will be some Canadian Tire people watching this and all that. And I got to be careful what I say. Word to the wise, I don't hate my job at Canadian Tire. I really don't. I don't really have anything bad to say about people. They do rub me the back way for the ribbing, but I can take it and I'll dish it if I have to within legal rounds. Okay. Another thing talking about. I know I've been talking a long time and all that, but yeah. Next up is practically, my living situation now because Edward and I were living in the same place, but then Edward had to get a girlfriend, Marlene, and then they were dating and all that, and then they got married in July 2008. The plan was for me to move out of the Kitchener place and find an apartment or something. But then they found a place in Mississauga, not Milton, excuse me, Milton, then Mississauga, Milton. And then they're like, well, Jeffrey would be fine living in Kitchener. And, you know, like keep my job because I've been working at Sellers for almost 2 years. So it was like, well, we got to find a roommate for him, if anything. So lo and behold, my Aunt Marion needed a place to be in. So it's a wide open spot. She moved in November 2008 with her now deceased service dog, PC Golden Retriever, who was very well protective. She was a defensive dog. Like, she would not, she was a good guard dog and all that. And she also had 3 cats taken with her. Yeah, Molly and Tyson, which were a daughter-son relationship, and that fat tabby Sandy, who I famously put on one of my Facebook profile pics as Hurricane Sandy. But yeah, Sandy was their fat tabby and all that. And then the animal situation grew in March, like 6 months, like almost 6 months later, it grew to 5 cats because my maternal grandparents were gonna move into Freeport, like this nursing home and all that. Like my grandpa was actually living in Baden, and then he moved to Kitchener to Freeport, and then they had 2 cats, Mouse a calico, who had breathing problems and couldn't be sedated, so she was prone to get pregnant, which she did. Within a year of moving to Kitchener, she got out on us and got pregnant with 3 kittens. And of course, and the other one was Tink, the orange and white munchkin cat, because she had short feet. She had a round body, but she was well loved and all that. Sandy lasted a long time. Sandy lived in Pinedale from 2008 to March 2020. A couple of weeks after I started work, he died of old age. So he was 20. Mouse died of old age, I guess, because she was 16 when she lost her life in 2018. PC lost her life at age 13 in 2018 because of a hip problem. Or I think it was cancer or something. Canine cancer. I don't think so, but. And then, of course, Tink passing away in 2022. She was 21, but she died of old age. So, yeah, So, yeah, the living situation is a lot different and all that. I mean, yeah, Meg and I don't agree on everything going on, but we keep to ourselves and all that. We mingle when we have to and all that. So nothing much I can say about that. And of course, let's finish this off with the one thing about the greatest reason why I stayed in Kitchener is my best friend Bill Lang. He moved to Kitchener in 2006. I moved to Kitchener in 2004. We didn't know each other. We didn't see each other. We didn't spot each other until a chance encounter in 2013. So in 2013, when I was looking for work and all that, the job agency in downtown Kitchener, not Agilic, but said that there was this thing for people with disabilities, like a group, like they play games and all that. So I go to the Queen Street Commons Cafe one day in July 2013. Actually, the day before I moved to, I mean, the day before I moved to Target, the day before Target opened up to the public. And so, like, I look at this cafe thing, and then I'm like, well, there's no game thing. But then I'm like, oh, there's more room in the back. So I go to the back and I say, hi, is this open space? And they said, yes. And I said, hi, I'm Jeff. I have autism. I heard about this place through the job agency. And what are you guys about? So, I do that. And then what happened in July was they would be doing these park activities in July. They would go to the park every Monday and all that. So I think it was the second or third one of my embarrassment. And then, walking with Bill and all that, you know, Bill, he looked Chinese, which he is. He was born in Hong Kong. This guy, Eddie, had a love for the Patriots. And I said, hey, I'm a Patriots fan too. I love Tom Brady and all that. I have his number 12 jersey. Well, I knockoff jersey, but jersey nevertheless. But yeah, I wore my Tom Brady number 12 and all that. And all that. So we bonded over the Patriots. We bonded over sports because we were big sports guys and all that. And, we bonded over Super Nintendo, which I used to have a Super Nintendo, but got rid of it. But yeah, he still has his. And we, playing games and all that I've never heard of, like Kirby's Avalanche. I would cream him in that, even though I never had experience with Kirby's Avalanche. But the fact of the matter is that, his Super Nintendo things were big. He was big into Formula One. I kind of have a passing interest in Formula One. Like, it's not like Bill Lang territory, but yeah, I noticed Formula One basically because of Jacques Villeneuve and all that. Canadian Pride. What do you expect? So, yeah, impressed by his F1 skill, knowledge, his football knowledge, uh, and all that. But I would school him on hockey and baseball and a few other sports and all that. Bill and I having interest in all that, and then starting in 2015, going to his house for New Year, not New Year's Day. What am I thinking? Qatar, 2015 for Canada Day, like going to his house and all that, hanging out at his house, doing stuff. Like I helped him paint his child's room. Like, he has a 3-year-old Braden and all that. And, little Braden, he's so adorable and all that. He's very knowledgeable. He knows language and all that. He's a lot smarter than my dumb white ass, that's for sure. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, I used to hang out at Bill's house and all that, got to know his now wife Jen, got to know her family, got to know a lot of things. And, we basically hang out a lot. We talk on the phone a lot. Like Bill is a building manager. Building manager? That doesn't sound right. Uh, I don't know, but I can't remember for the life of me. But yeah, he's in property management. That's it. Property. He's a property manager and all that for many properties and all that. So yeah, so he talks to me on the phone, like he goes on a commute and he's like needs someone to talk to. So I'm basically the one to talk to him, and I'm like, yeah, cool. We talk sports and all that. He talked about how lucky I was that the Chiefs beat the Ravens because, you know, if I was wrong about that, there would be hell to pay. Well, I don't know exactly what I would have gotten myself into, but yeah, I would have been like, oh man, I suck so badly. So yeah, we talk on the phone and all that, and we talk about stuff. He even came to my house for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and it was nice having him around my place and my 70-inch TV, which is like, do I deserve a 70-inch TV? No, a 50-inch TV, yeah. But I'm keeping the 70-incher. I'm keeping my PS5. I'm keeping my laptop, which I'm recording this off of. Some nice presents and all that stuff. But yeah, Bill has made my life a bit better. I didn't really have a super best friend in my life. Well, yeah, in Plattsville, I had James Campbell and Jesse Leet. But unfortunately, I've lost touch with those two. So they were good people. I remember my one of the Oxford chums, the Benders, Jeff Schwarzentrooper, Tanner Mahalik, who I'm my Facebook friend with. But yeah, he's the guy. Tanner Mahalik is the guy that coined the word, my nickname, Cutter. That's him, Tanner Mahalik. So, and I've never forgotten about that. But the fact is, yeah, Bill's been there for me. I've been there for him. He's had some ups and downs. I've had my ups and downs. We help each other out. Like he's a true best friend. I must say this. He's the brother that I wish I had. What no, like Edward. I treat Edward quite well as my brother and all that. After all, he did get me to Kitchener. He did get me to like Blossom and all that. Why I said that, I don't fucking know. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Bill has been a very good source of me. He's accepted me. He says even accepted Aunt Mick, which is pretty good. But yeah, yeah, I don't know how I would have done it without Bill. You know, I know this is stupid talking religion in videos, but without Bill, I would not have been well known in the for Benton Street Baptist Church. I know it's weird going to a Baptist church when I was baptized as someone from the United Church, but they don't care. The church is church, and they've accepted me. And I go to their men's breakfast every month with Bill. Bill even gets invited to a thing in Tavistock, and I go with him. But yeah, the religious thing and all that, I had my doubts. And after all, Bill was the one who got me into ball hockey at the church in the first place. I'm not really the best around, but I'm part of the ball hockey ministry for the past few years. So yeah, go Thursday nights to play ball hockey and all that. Have fun, get your get rid of your worries and all that stuff. Yeah, Bill and I have connected through there, and Bill and I have connected through a lot of avenues. Without him, I would be a lonely, sadistic loser. That's for sure. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a whole thing about me living in Kitchener and how happy I've been in Kitchener and how blessed I am in Kitchener. And my brother doesn't have to worry too much about me because he knows I'm in capable hands and that I'm doing things. I have a job, I have friends, I have hobbies, I have stuff that keeps me going. So thank you, Kitchener, for dealing with my dumb white autistic butt for 20 years. But that's the way it goes. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond.